My name is Chris Lawson, and I would just like to share with you briefly about my friend Ray Yungen, who was an absolutely exceptional friend and researcher and author. And Ray actually is with the Lord now. He passed away peacefully in a hospital in Salem, Oregon on October 16th, 2016. A number of years ago, I had been living in Edinburgh, Scotland, doing Christian outreach ministry for several years, and I began to read the books of this guy named Ray, and I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, I got to meet this guy. Well, a few years later, it actually happened, and I moved back to the U.S. into a small town on the central coast of California, and it just so happens that a mutual friend of Ray and myself and Warren Smith had introduced the three or four of us together and became friends with Ray. Ray became a dear friend, and the more I talked to Ray, the more he could cheer me up when I had a bad day. And you know, I grew to trust him and love him as a friend and a buddy, and as a fellow researcher as well. Someone who could be trusted, and someone whose information and data and statistics, the things that he put into literature, could be trusted. And not only that, but he could be trusted as a friend. Ray was a dear person, and he had a great sense of humor, and there are numerous tracts that he's written, and he's written several books, and you can obviously find his videos and his audio messages on the internet. And as you watch Ray in these different videos and you listen to him, you'll see that he's got a great sense of humor, and he was able to tie together facts and data and exposing deception in the church and in the world, to tie that together with a very clear proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ and what the Lord has done for us, with Christ's birth, life, death, and resurrection and ascension into heaven, and how Jesus Christ is the Savior of the world. He's come to save us from our sins. And that was Ray's message. Ray loved to preach the gospel. He was an evangelist at heart. And throughout his messages, you'll see Ray bringing in a little bit of humor here and there to kind of soften things, but not to soften the message of the gospel. And I miss Ray. I would love to have gotten to spend more time with Ray through the years. But the time I did have with him and the memories that were created were wonderful. And this is just a living tribute page for Ray Yungen. And I'd just like to share a little bit more about Ray's life work and encourage you to, again, to not only watch Ray's videos, they're on the internet, or to buy his DVDs, but also to listen to his audio messages and to really glean from the content that Ray had written and spoken. And if you would like to, you can read this. This is a publication from Lighthouse Trails. It's called Ray Yungen, A Life Set Apart for the Lord. And there's a web address on the back, lighthousetrails.com. In here is a book about Ray's life, and it's full of the testimonies of people who have been touched by Ray's life as a tribute to him. Also, Ray wrote a book a number of years ago called For Many Shall Come in My Name. And this book as well as the other material here I'm going to show you, is available through Lighthouse Trails Publishing. This book is called How the Ancient Wisdom is Drawing Millions of People into Mystical Experiences and Preparing the World for the End of the Age. And in this book, Ray very clearly delineates how there are many false Christs out there masquerading as the true Christ, and how these deceptive practices, these occult techniques and mystical practices are being brought into Christian churches around the world. One of Ray's most important pieces that he's ever written was called A Time of Departing. A Time of Departing. And also on the cover of this book it says how ancient mystical practices are uniting Christians with the world's religions. This is an absolutely exceptional book. And in both of Ray's books, there's a replete index, a very complete index that is replete with many names and authors and books that you can find very easily and quickly if you would like to research different subjects. And I would encourage you to get Ray's books. Ray had written numerous booklets that were published and still are being published through Lighthouse Trails. And I think one of the most important ones that I actually read more recently, when I was on a trip over to England and Scotland back in the fall of 2016, I read this on the airplane, and it's called Alice Bailey, Mother of the New Age Movement. Alice Bailey, Mother of the New Age Movement, and her plan to, quote, revitalize, quote, Christianity. Again, I think this is one of Ray's most important works, because what this does is it shows that Alice Bailey truly was the mother of the New Age movement. And her writings, her teachings, and the occult material that she produced says very clearly, being inspired by these spirit beings that are hostile to the biblical gospel of Jesus Christ, Ray has basically shown that these teachings are like a roadmap, a plan, if you will, that's what it's called, a plan to deceive humanity through revitalizing a false Christianity. And that's what's going on today. And Ray Yungen has written extensively about this. Warren Smith has written extensively about this. Many of the different Lighthouse Trails authors have written about this same sort of thing, and exposing this and helping equip and prepare Christians to know how to understand what is going on and why this is happening. And so again, I think that's one of Ray's most important pieces. And I spoke on this extensively when I went to England and Scotland, and Ray and I discussed this in depth. A few years ago, Ray and I did a video exposing the occult dangers of, some of the content in Rick Warren's, quote, Daniel plan, weight diet thing, and some of these techniques, these occult practices that are being brought into, the emerging church movement, the purpose-driven movement, and the like, really were inspired by people like Madame Blavatsky and Alice Bailey and people like this. And so I think that, if we're going to remember Ray Yungen as an individual, as a friend, as an author and researcher, it would do us well to look again closely at the writings that Ray had produced, and it's evidence. It's evidence that cannot be refuted. It's factual data that Ray had compiled in his books, in his articles, in his speaking when he spoke, and it's educational material that I think the younger generation needs to see, as well as us, the older generation. I'm middle-aged, but there are many people around the world who are gleaning from Ray's teachings and learning and seeing the deception that is involved in churches today, and so many millions of people are absolutely missing it about what's really going on. So again, as an encouragement to look at Ray's writings, to get his booklets. I know that Lighthouse Trails does a whole discernment pack. This is good material that Ray Yungen had put together that you can give to churches, church leaders, to pastors, to church elders, to women's ministry leaders, to see, okay, this is, who is Ray Yungen and what did he write about? Well, I'm just trying to say, we need to keep promoting Ray's materials and this stuff. I know that there are numerous authors and researchers that really respected Ray, and if you do get Ray Yungen, A Life Set Apart for God, you'll see Roger Oakland from Understand the Times Ministry wrote the first testimony in the introduction here, as well as a nice note from Lighthouse Trails, the publisher of the booklet. In the back here also you'll see a testimony from a tribute from Mike Oppenheimer of Let Us Reason Ministries, and as well Warren and Joy Smith from Mountain Stream Press Ministry in Central California. Warren was a really good friend of Ray, and Warren's a good friend of mine as well. And Warren was one of those guys that would really, really encourage Ray. Ray had times when he was jovial and upbeat, and he really encouraged me on my down days when I was struggling and, going through some hard times. And in like manner, when Ray was going through that, oftentimes he would call Warren Smith, and Warren would encourage Ray, and Ray just had a great support team. There were a few other guys as well that really encouraged Ray. I know it's just we all take our turns, so to speak, and Ray had down times too, but it's like we share these trials, we share the struggles, the sufferings, and I just really wanted to just put this video together as a means, more of a living tribute on the internet, for people to come and to find out about Ray's materials. I miss Ray dearly. I've known a lot of people the last few years that have actually passed away. A number of them have gone to be with the Lord, and quite a few of them I don't think went to be with the Lord. But Ray's passing really, it really affected me, kind of in a different way. I guess it's because I was so close to Ray. We didn't talk a ton, but Ray was one of those guys that, I don't know, it was just like, there was just a connection as far as, I guess we were more so the same age than a lot of the fellow researchers that have gone to be with the Lord before us, and even a number of guys now that Ray and I both, looked up to, and I still look up to now, and as older brothers in the Lord, and can trust, and their research is valid, and it's irrefutable. And so, in this field of work that we're in, as you grow older, you begin to see more and more there are fewer and fewer people that you can really trust that are going to run the race, so to speak, and finish well. And I'm grateful for the time I had with Ray, and some of the other friends I've gotten to meet through Ray, and as a small number of colleagues that would call each other and work together and share each other's books and research. And so anyway, I love Ray. Ray's a brother in the Lord. He's with Jesus now, and I miss him dearly, and I hope that many, many thousands of people will check out Ray's resources, and obviously buy his literature that was published, to get the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ out to people. So one last thing here, I have a ministry called Spiritual Research Network, and I started my ministry, my apologetics outreach, just as a side ministry, so to speak, when we were missionaries in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I remember standing in a bookstore one day. I have no idea how Ray's book got on the shelf there, but I began to read it, and I was like, I gotta meet this guy. And that was back in the fall of 2004. And I was like, I gotta meet this guy. He's just like, our research matches up, and he's got a lot of good things to say. And well, I eventually ended up meeting Ray and getting to know him for a number of years, and again, Ray's with the Lord now. And Ray impacted my life, and I just wanted to share this with you. And so may the Lord bless you through the reading and the exhortation and the encouragement that Ray's resources provide for us all. God bless you.